Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be making our predictions for the just announced Nintendo Direct. By the time you listen to this podcast, Nintendo Direct will have already happened. But for us, we have yet to see it, so we're going to make predictions, and then you can watch it when the podcast comes out and see how wrong we are. Because I'm sure we're mostly going to be wrong. We usually are. We usually get a few things right, mostly wrong. But we're going to make our predictions so you can kind of check that out. But like I said, if you're like, why are they making predictions? That thing already happened. We're recording this on Wednesday. The Nintendo Direct is on Friday. The podcast usually goes up on Saturday, so it'll be a little off. And then next week, we're going to be actually discussing what was in the podcast. So in addition to that, we also have our On the Horizon segment, and we've got an On Beat segment with a few trailers to go over. Let's get started with On the Horizon.
On the horizon.
On the Horizon is where we talk about what's coming up in the next week or so. And first things first, the 77th Annual Emmy Awards are airing on Sunday, September 14th on CBS and Paramount+. Futurama is returning on Monday, September 15th on Hulu and FXX. Gen V is returning on Wednesday, September 17th on Amazon Prime. That's, of course, the Boys spin-off series. I'm really interested to see how that goes. There's some bad stuff that happened before the season was able to start that makes me really curious how they're going to handle certain things. The Morning Show returns to Apple TV Plus on Wednesday, September 17th. Black Rabbit, which is a limited series from Jason Bateman, is coming on Thursday, September 18th to Netflix. Haunted Hotel, I think we talked about this, or we either talked about the trailer, or we talked about talking about the trailer, is coming on Friday, September 19th to Netflix. That's the animated one where, like, they're running a haunted hotel, and, like, the husband of the family or whatever is also a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Him is coming to theaters on Friday, September 19th. That's the new one from Jordan Peele. He didn't direct it, but he produced it. And A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey, which stars Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie, is coming to theaters on Friday, September 19th as well. That is our On the Horizon segment, and now we're going to move on to On Beat. On Beat. On Beat is our new segment, and this week we're just talking about trailers. We got 3 to go over. We're starting with Last Samurai Standing. So previously we had seen a teaser for this movie, this Netflix original movie, but we didn't really know anything about what was going on. It was just a teaser, so we didn't end up covering it on the show. But now we've got an actual trailer for it. This is basically Samurai Squid Game, or Samurai Hunger Games, or Samurai Battle Royale, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
A bunch of samurai are lured to a castle, and they're told to collect each other's nameplates, basically, and the last one standing gets a bunch of money, and everybody else either dies or just gets disqualified, but they'll probably end up dying somehow or another. But yeah, it looks good. I thought the trailer was awesome. I love it when a trailer incorporates visuals that match the sound in like a musical moment. Like there's a musical part and then it cut to like this percussion thing, and the percussion was all like sword hits. It was like a really cool moment in the trailer. I really dug that. It made me like hyped. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to see this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It looks really cool, really stylish. You know it's gonna be action packed. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Next up, we finally got a trailer for Wake Up Dead Man. This is the third movie in the Knives Out franchise.
Yeah, we got like a full
you still haven't seen the first one, right? You saw the second one. We covered the second one.
Yeah, I still haven't watched the first one. You just reminded me of that.
They're not, they're standalone, you know? They're like the whole thing is very similar, like obviously an homage to like the Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
And the same thing with those. Like you could watch any of those movies or read any of those books without having read any of the others or watched any of the others, and it's fine. It's just a murder mystery that stands by itself. But yeah, so this is the third one. What did you think about this from what you saw?
Looks good. Yeah, it looks like classic murder mystery stuff with that Knives Out flair.
It looks more overtly comedic to me, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the Knives Out movies have comedy in them just anyways. Yeah. Like, you know, you saw the second one that obviously had a lot of comedy in it.
Yeah. I didn't notice, like, anything more comedic about this than, like, the movie
I think this looks more comedic up front, because the other ones didn't really advertise themselves as being kind of comedic. You know, they kind of, the trailers themselves were pretty straightforward. Then, like, the comedic elements were,
right.
Kinda, you know, like, you watch the movie and they were there, you know, but like this, like, so a lot of comedic elements seem to be like in the trailer.
I think maybe that's more a result of just them being more people knowing what Knives Out is now and what to expect, so they're more comfortable with it.
Yeah, like more marketing rather than anything that indicates any kind of tonal shift or anything.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it looks good. It looks like it centers around a church congregation and a priest who is apparently killed in an impossible murder because he's killed in a sealed chamber that only has one entrance that he went in. So it's the question of, okay, how was he murdered in there? Yeah. If he was the only one who had access to that room.
And the Knives Out movies, they always tend to have some kind of like a other twist outside of just the murder mystery. You know, there was like a big one in Glass Onion, but even like Knives Out, like the first one, had like a twist kind of like that, like along those lines. So I'm interested in seeing what that's going to be, because I'm sure that's part of the formula for this franchise. But yeah, it's interesting. They're also going to give it a limited theatrical run, which Netflix doesn't do that often. They usually, you know, they put it direct to streaming, but you can't really do that with movie theater. Movie theaters won't carry your movie if you're like, you know, simultaneously releasing on streaming. Like they made some concessions about that during like COVID and stuff, you know, during lockdown, when like HBO, for example, released, you know, Dune and stuff like a bunch of movies, but Dune in particular being a really big one at the same time in theaters and at home. But usually they just don't go for that. They won't let you put it on streaming at the same time it's in theaters. So Netflix is actually going to delay the release of this on Netflix for a short stretch of time so that they can have a limited theatrical run, which is nice for the people involved so they can get their theatrical release. And it's not like it's going to be anybody else is waiting months and months. It's like, yeah, a couple weeks or something. But yeah, we'll probably cover that, maybe. We'll see.
It's a possibility.
How busy we are with other things.
It's a possibility.
Yeah. We covered Glass Onion, so who knows. And then lastly, we got a trailer with some familiar names attached to it. We got a trailer for Dust Bunny. This is the directorial debut of Brian Fuller. So Brian Fuller made Hannibal and Dead Like Me and Pushing Daisies and Wonder Falls. He was a writer on like the first season of Heroes. He wrote the only like truly good episode of Heroes is credited to him. He's a favorite here. We've talked about Hannibal, like we've gushed over Hannibal here on this podcast and our past podcast as well. So yeah, it's exciting whenever he's attached to anything.
Come off as
directorial debut.
Biased or anything. This looked good. It's interesting, the juxtaposition here, and I don't know, like obviously they're saving things for the actual movie, so there's purposeful ambiguity, but the plot seems to like center around Mads Mikkelsen is this underworld figure, you know, John Wick type figure, you know, he's like kind of like this badass who's like involved in like the shady underworld of like criminals and stuff, and somehow this little girl, he finds this girl's connected to it somehow, like her family is murdered, and she believes like it's monsters under her bed, like literal monsters killed her family, and there's like this suspicion, it's like, oh well, like it's these like hitmen or these mob people that actually did it. And she kind of like enlists him to like help her kill the monsters, so to speak. And he's surrounded by, you know, monsters. The people that he's surrounded
by the real world monsters.
The real world monsters, yeah. So it's interesting to me, like there's a juxtaposition there. And again, like I don't know like how the movie's gonna go. I don't know like if monsters are gonna be real or if this is just like this crime thriller, you know, with Mads Mikkelsen having to like to protect this girl and like help her find vengeance in him redemption or something. But that seems to be like the gist of it from the trailer.
I think that everything Brian Fuller's ever done as like a showrunner, not counting like random shows he's written on, but
right.
Everything he's done as a showrunner, which again is not the same as directing, but it's the closest parallel because he's never directed before. Hannibal is the only thing where there isn't like a supernatural element. And Hannibal, there almost is like a supernatural element because Hannibal's so like unnaturally good at what he does that it's almost supernatural. He's like a Luciferian like figure. He's like almost like the devil himself, like perfect in his execution and stuff, to the point where it's like, oh, this seems like almost unreal, you know? But everything else Brian Fuller has ever done has had some touch of the supernatural in it. So I can't imagine that this is going to be just like a front. Like it's just going to be like, oh, she thinks it's supernatural, but nothing is supernatural. I imagine it's going to play into it in some way just because it's Brian Fuller.
Right.
But that's just my speculation. That's not based on any like evidence or anything. But yeah, I'm super psyched for this. I think the trailer's okay. I'm super psyched from it just because of who's attached. Like if I didn't know, if this wasn't Mads Mikkelsen and it wasn't Brian Fuller and we saw the exact same trailer, I don't know how excited I would be for this. Like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's in theaters. Yeah, I'll check it out kind of thing. But
oh yeah, it's one of those things where like, where like the talent involved, you know, makes you pay more attention. Like,
yeah. And we talked about that like last week. We don't want
to like retread the same talking points, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Trailer itself, so it's fine. Nothing bad, just fine. But knowing who's involved has me excited. So that is it for the trailers and it for our On Beat segment. And now we're going to move on to our final segment already, which is our Nintendo Direct predictions. So first off, do you want to like kind of guide us through like how we came to this point?
What do you mean how we came to this point? Nintendo announced
how
the
long
Direct.
we've been waiting for a Direct and the leaks and everything that was happening and just kind of how we've been like unevenly waiting for what's going to happen.
I mean, Nintendo released the Nintendo Switch 2 in June, and there was some thought like, oh, maybe Nintendo will have a Direct in June as well, but like they didn't. And then we've had smaller Directs along the way. You know, we've had game-specific Directs for Donkey Kong.
Third-party partner showcase.
We had the partner showcase. We had the Indie World. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there wasn't like a big Direct, but like I knew, so like I've been telling you this all along, mm-hmm. that there was going to be a Direct in September because there usually is, and it felt like there is definitely stuff Nintendo needed to be talking about this year, like after the Switch 2 came out. There definitely needed to be this Direct.
Yeah, we really need this Direct.
So like, I was just always chill. It'll be in September. I was like thinking maybe August, and if not August, September for sure, there will be a Direct. Nintendo usually holds a Direct on September every year.
I think they only missed it once.
Yeah,
I think there was like one year they missed it, and that's it.
Yeah, so they're usually pretty. And the reason the Directs are so predictable when they hold them is because they follow like Nintendo's marketing cycles for like what Nintendo wants to promote. Because when you think about it, like from Nintendo's perspective, it's like they released the Switch 2. We're now going into the Switch 2's first holiday season, so they want to maintain the momentum going into that, and they do that by talking about like all the stuff that's coming out this holiday and going into Q1 2026. Get that momentum going into the new year.
I think what makes this like a weird situation, why it's like a whole thing where it's like, oh, what's going on and stuff, is because just like they almost always have, and not even saying almost always, there's only a single exception where they didn't have a Direct in September, you know? But not just that, but they've also always had one around the time of when E3 was. And even when E3 stopped existing, they would still have one around that time frame. And I think there's only like one exception to that as well, just like there was for the 1 year where we didn't get one in September. So it's very strange that we didn't get it. Of course, it's like a weird situation because they chose to release the system in that month, like literally days before what we call quote unquote not E3 happened. happens, you know? Like, literally days before that is when they release the system. So the question was always like, okay, they released the system right in that time frame. Are they going to also do a direct? Because that's when everybody does directs. That's when Summer Game Fest happens. That's when... And then not only did they not do a direct, but then Summer Game Fest stuff had like no Switch 2 logos on anything. It was just a big dud for any information.
Yeah. And the thing is, Nintendo was like really focused on the initial like launch lineup for the Switch 2. They were focused on Mario Kart and the other third-party games that came out at that time. So like they weren't like really worried about talking about what's coming up. But now we're at a point where the initial wave of big games have been released. Mm-hmm. So like Mario Kart World's out, Donkey Kong's out, Drag X Drive, Kirby, and Starcross World is out.
Yeah, Drag X Drive, the biggest game for the system.
Those games are also like Nintendo needs to talk about, okay, what's coming next for the Switch 2, especially like going into the holiday season. You know, what can you expect to be playing over the holidays? And, you know, we have Pokemon Legends EA, we have Metroid Prime 4, you know, we have Kirby Air Riders, we have, you know, Hyrule Warriors. That's a pretty solid lineup of games.
And a lot of them like, still don't even have dates.
We need more information on a lot of those games. Like, we need to know when Metroid Prime is coming out, when, you know, when Hyrule Warriors is coming out.
We know Kirby.
You know, I don't know if we know an exact, we know November, I think. So we might get like an exact date for Kirby as well in this direct. So like, that's the thing that you cut off, like right off the top, is we're going to get dates for those games. For sure. Yeah. They have to.
Yeah.
Right? If this direct goes by and like Metroid Prime is still 2025, I am going to scream.
Fall directs also tend to give us information about like the first half of the next year too.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of start to lead us down that path.
It's basically, the basic idea is it's holiday in Q1 2026. And we already know like several games that are like 2026. They're like Switch games at this point, but we got Rhythm Heaven and we got Tomodachi Life, which are both like this nebulous 2026. So maybe.
And then we have like Duskbloods, but that's probably late.
Yeah, we got Duskbloods too.
That's probably like a November 2026 or something.
So maybe they show up again and they get more concrete release dates. I don't know.
Yeah. But also a lot of the stuff that we've seen so far from third parties is also out.
Yeah.
Not all of it. I mean, we still have like Elden Ring.
We're still waiting on Elden
Ring. Yeah.
We don't have a date for Elden Ring, which is kind of wild.
But like, isn't Outlaws out now? Or it's either out or it's coming out really soon. Star Wars Outlaws?
Oh, Star Wars, that's coming out in September, yeah. So that's this month, so.
That's coming very soon. And then a lot of the other stuff's already out or coming out very soon. A lot of that stuff's coming out in like September and stuff. I mean, Borderlands 4, stuff like that. I think actually Borderlands 4 might be October for Switch too. But anyways, there's like a lot of stuff that third party wise as well that we don't really have enough information on. But another aspect of how we got here is that the last time we did a direct predictions podcast, we heard heavy rumors that there was a Nintendo Direct, and there ended up being one, but it ended up being a partner direct. We didn't know that when we did our predictions episode, so we just did like a general direct predictions episode.
They did.
And it ended up just being a partner direct, which was actually a rather boring direct. Not just because it was a partner direct, but just wasn't that great of a direct.
Yeah, because it was mostly stuff for Switch 1, and it wasn't even the big third-party games like people are wanting for the Switch 2. It was like, here's Pac-Man World 2, in which is like...
The biggest one was probably Monster Hunter Stories 3.
Oh yeah, that one
which is pretty like, niche, and it still was like one of the biggest ones they had.
That was pretty, that was pretty hype, actually.
Like, but it's niche, you know, it's not like a Resident Evil announcement, or you know what I mean? It's not in that caliber, so...
Not in that caliber. And the reason I was disappointed, again, you had mentioned there was a big lack of third-party game announcements for Switch 2 after launch, so I was like looking at this and going, okay, this is going to alleviate those concerns. We're going to see the deluge here, and then we didn't.
Yeah.
At all. And so it just made those fears worse.
And then oddly enough, like right after that, we had like, what was the next show we had after that? It was the Gamescom show.
Yeah, the Gamescom.
And we started actually getting somewhat big announcements that it's like, why wasn't this?
We got like
partner
Indiana
direct?
Jones announced.
Yeah, that should have been in the partner direct, you know?
Yeah, that should have been in the partner direct, yeah.
So we had like a few big ones like that, and then some more big rumors started popping out just because people are going to those shows, press, and are talking to developers, and so you start getting these like very credible rumors about certain franchises and stuff, and it's like, but still no news. And so we've been like, okay, we're getting impatient now, what the fuck, Nintendo? And then a bunch of the more tried and tested leakers, like Nick DeHate and stuff, were talking, they were chirping pretty loudly about a September Direct, which was like, yeah, duh. As you said, there's always a September Direct, so yeah, duh. But they were chirping that it was going to be a big general Direct and everything.
Here's the thing. I think Nate the Hate is solid. I think, like, he has good contacts that tell when Directs are happening. I think, like, any idiot can say, oh, there's going to be a Direct in September because, yeah, that's what usually happens. As far as, like, Switch Force goes,
one thing you have to give to Switch Force is he specifically said the 12th, and nobody bought the 12th. Even, like, Nate the Hate was saying the 11th or the 12th.
Was he the one?
Because Directs, like, never happen. Yeah. Because Directs, like, never happen on Friday.
Okay, I didn't see that, but I do have to.
He also confirmed when the Direct would be announced. Before the Direct was announced, he said the Direct is going to be announced today, and it was.
Okay.
So, I gotta put some credit to him on that.
Gotta put some credit. It just annoys me, because, like, I haven't, like, seen anything that makes me think, oh, he says,
doesn't
like,
have a history of it. This is new.
Oh, there's, like, 3 games with, like, a 7 in them, and I'm like, okay, even if that happens, that's, like, so vague, like, that's so generalistic that
it's funny because there are probably like 20 games with a 7 in it that are expected on Switch 2.
yeah, exactly. It's like,
there's 3 Final Fantasy 7 games alone coming
there's
to Switch
like
2.
Resident Evil 7, and
Call of Duty, Black Ops 7, and I think Ace Combat 7, and there's another one.
Killer 7.
Yeah, Killer 7.
There's
like
007.
We already know about 007 is coming to Switch
that's
2.
Like confirmed. So yeah, all they have to do is announce a release date for Final Fantasy 7, 007, and then announce Resident Evil 7, and then his dumb 7's prediction comes true.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's like 9 games with 7 in the title at this rate. There's so many. If he said
Killer 7 was coming to Switch and then that happened, then I would be like, okay, you're legit, you know things.
Yeah.
That's cool. But be specific, is all I'm saying. If I'm going to take you seriously as a leaker, you got to give concrete, specific leaks. You have to name a game.
To be fair to him, he did follow up with denials on certain things. So, like, people would mention certain games and he would say, not that, not that, not that.
Right.
So, he is kind of boxing himself slowly into a corner by doing that, where if he says, oh, well, it's not these 3 games, and then those are the only 3 with a 7 in the title that are at the Direct or something, then that already paints his information as inaccurate. So, to be fair to him, he did do that. So, he did kind of box himself into a corner. He just he didn't call specific games that he said are going to be there. So, we're eagerly anticipating this. Leaks were coming out everywhere. So, we said, okay, last week on the podcast, we said, next week we're going to do predictions. Week after we'll do the Direct. And it has not yet been announced yet.
Yeah, we said this, like, not being 100% sure a Direct was going to happen or not. So we kind of, like, just committed to, like, doing this idea. And then if a Direct didn't happen, cool, you got our predictions for the non-existent Direct.
Yeah. Which you kind of got from us before, because we did directions for a general Direct when it ended up being a partner Direct, so.
Yeah, right. But no, thankfully, before we started recording on tonight, and, when you're listening, this is Wednesday evening on the 10th, if you're listening to this. So when we started recording tonight, it had already been announced, so that kind of, like, eased any worries that we had.
Yeah. Not only was it announced, but the details of it are that it's an hour-long general Direct.
It's an hour-long Direct, yes. And
that's exceptionally long. I think that's the longest Nintendo Direct. There's been longer digital presentations from Nintendo, but it wasn't called a Direct. It was like one E3, I think they did one. It was like an hour and a half.
And here's the thing about it being an hour is the tweet says, it's information on Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch games. So we're talking about games for 2 platforms. They probably have a lot of games to get through between Switch and Switch 2. The whole Switch situation isn't the same as the 3DS. When Switch came out, 3DS was pretty much a dead platform. Switch is still like a very much alive, vibrant platform. We're in this point where the industry where like something with like the Nintendo Switch's install base isn't going to be like easily or quickly abandoned.
Also, unlike with the 3DS, you can play all those Switch games on your Switch too.
Yes, which again, it makes it more easy for Switch to get support. So we probably have like between those 2 platforms, probably have a massive number of games to get through. So to me, like, it makes sense why this would be like an hour long.
Yeah.
Because this is the big one, folks. Like, this is the one we've been waiting for, like all year. So.
And again, it's at 6 a.m. Pacific time, which is like, God damn it. I just started getting up later because it just started cooling down enough that I can get up at like 8 instead of getting up at 6 every morning. And now I'm like, fuck, now I'm going to have to get up at like 5:40 It's early. That's a new thing for Nintendo. That's been like, all the Switch Directs have been like very early in the morning. They didn't used to be this early, I don't think, for Directs. I think they were usually around somewhere like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Pacific time. And now they're like all been coming out at like 6 a.m. or something. But so that means this Friday, the time you listen to it, as I said, you've already seen the Direct probably by the time you're listening to this. But this Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific time, an hour long, Switch and Switch 2 content. Those are the details. Now let's get into our predictions. So I created kind of ideas for my predictions like we did before. I think last time I did the same thing where I created like a concept for each of my 5 predictions.
Yeah, I kind of like sorted things into broad categories as I was like thinking of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like I have like several broad categories for my predictions.
So we each technically made 5 predictions, but it's probably actually more than that because there's like each one of mine, most of mine have multiple predictions inside.
I did not limit myself at all to 5. If that was the,
It was 5 categories of predictions. Did you do more than that?
Oh, categories? No, I got like around 5.
Okay, so it's about the same. And it doesn't really matter. If you went over, that's just more content for us to cover. Do you want to start with your first one, or do you want me to start with my first one?
I want you to start with your first one.
Okay, so my first one is something I was calling for on the last predictions podcast. I think it's going to happen. I think it's even more certain to happen here, and that is update/DLC for either or both Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World. I don't necessarily think these are going to be like full, huge DLC packages. I think this is going to be like new carts and characters or costumes in Mario Kart World, like that kind of thing, not like new tracks. And then for Donkey Kong Bonanza, I don't think it's going to be like another, big content push or something, but maybe like some small updates or something.
Yeah, it's possible.
So that's my first prediction. I think they're going to show some support for those. More likely, I think Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, but I kind of think both are going to get some support. What's your first one?
My first prediction is going to be, I think we're going to get some new game announcements specifically for Switch.
For Switch 1?
Yeah, for Switch 1. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thinking Fire Emblem 4 remake that's been rumored for a long time. I think it's happening. I think it's going to be on the Switch.
So you think that's going to be like Switch 1 with like maybe a Switch 2 edition?
Yeah.
Kind of like they're doing with like Metroid Prime 4?
Yeah, with like a Switch 2 upgrade, yeah. I can see that. I think Nintendo's probably been sitting on this for a while. So
yeah, it's been rumored for years.
Yeah, so this is definitely a Switch game. It makes sense. Nintendo's still going to support Switch 1 with first-party releases, and it makes sense. It's not going to be like the big games. It's going to be, the next Zelda is a Switch 1 game. Like, it's going to be smaller projects like Fire Emblem Remake that are going to be, like, on the Switch. And
I could even see them doing that with the lower-tier Zelda, like, if they were to do another Echoes of Wisdom style Zelda, Right. They might put that on Switch 1, with, like, a Switch 2 edition.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I think that's very, very likely, actually.
Yeah.
Judging by the partner direct, where most of the games are Switch 1 games, it's like, I think that's still likely. My second prediction is based on the fact that this direct is happening the day before the 40th anniversary of Mario.
Oh yeah, we're going to get Mario, and I think I have this on mine too. I'll let you go ahead and say but I think we're like on the same wavelength here, but go ahead. Yeah,
so this direct is happening the day before the 40th anniversary of Mario, but technically it's going to be even closer to that because in Japan, it's like 12 hours ahead of us, something like that. I don't know the exact time zone difference, but that means it's even closer to being on the Mario anniversary day or something. So I have 3 things that I'm predicting are going to be there.
3 things.
Yes.
Okay.
First up, and this is kind of wishful thinking on my part, Dr. Mario. I think we need a new Dr. Mario game. It's been a while. We need something that's just clean and runs smooth.
I agree. I actually agree with that. Dr. Mario is not my favorite puzzle game. I know people love it. I think it's just okay. I've played a fair amount of Dr. Mario to like come to that conclusion where it's like, I like this. This is fine, but it doesn't blow me away. But by that time, Dr. Mario has appeared on every Nintendo console except for the Switch, which is like weird when you think about it.
Yeah, Wii U had Dr. Luigi,
Yeah, it had like Dr. Luigi on the Wii U, and like there was like a version on the 3DS, and I'm not counting Nintendo Switch Online Virtual Console. I'm not counting Dr. Mario games on there. That doesn't count for a Switch game.
Yeah, and the Switch did have, I think, but they didn't do it. They didn't do it. I was thinking for a second, I'm like, they did have Dr. Mario 99, and I'm like, no, they didn't do that. Yeah, maybe that'll be what it is. Maybe it's going to be Dr. Mario 99.
Yeah, maybe. maybe it's time for Dr. Mario 99. Interesting. Okay, maybe we're not on the same wavelength, because I wasn't even thinking of Dr. Mario.
We're thinking on the same wavelength as far as there's going to be Mario stuff.
Yeah, there's going to be Mario stuff. I don't want to get to, like, the big thing I have in mind for Mario next, so I will say, like, yeah.
Save that for a later prediction. If it
Save that for a later prediction, yeah. So I'm just going to go with, like, another one of my Mario predictions, which also, like, I labeled on my thing Pie in the Sky, because I think, like, it's probably not happening, but, like, I would love it to happen. And that's, like, Super Mario Maker 3. With the mouse support and stuff, and with Mario Wonder stuff added to it, would be, like, really awesome.
I think you previously had said something about, was it Mario Maker 2, but, like, a Switch edition, or Switch 2 edition?
Yeah, they could do a Switch 2 edition with the mouse support. But
and additional content, like, probably, yeah.
At that point, just make it Super Mario Maker 3.
Yeah.
And just release it for the Switch 2.
Yeah. So the next Mario game I have on here is, they did that anniversary collection that ended up being like a limited release, and I think they could just basically do a Switch 2 edition of that. So it's basically like re-releasing the same thing, but like upscaled for 4K, and then maybe adding in Galaxy 2, which was the game that was missing from that
we
collection.
would like to see Galaxy 2.
So that would be a good way to do it, I think. Would be to say, oh, it's a Switch 2 edition. If you happen to buy the original one that came out for the 35th anniversary, then you could pay an upgrade fee. If you didn't, then you can get it again. But just like the 35-year one, it's a limited run. It'll only be there for a few months or something, and then it's gone. So I think we're likely to get something along those lines. Not a great new collection. Basically the same thing again with maybe one more game.
Just one more game. Then I think we're going to get the big one. We're going to get a teaser for the next big 3D Mario game. Not a full trailer, just enough to let us know it's happening and to give us some vague idea of the concept behind it. Just enough to get us talking about it. I would love it. And also like for Nintendo to obviously say, yes, there is a Mario game coming to Switch too. Obviously. You read the internet like after Donkey Kong was announced, some people were pretending like Mario.
Mario's canceled.
What about Mario? Oh my god, what about Mario on the Switch too? It's like, what do you mean? Of course it's happening. And so I think we'll see that here for Mario's 40th. It's obviously the game's not going to release in time for Mario's 40th anniversary, but they're going to give us some confirmation that it's happening and that we're getting it.
And then the third thing I have for Mario's 40th, when I said Dr. Mario, I didn't really mean Dr. Mario 99, and I brought that up as a possibility for the way they could do that.
Yeah.
And the reason I didn't come up with Dr. Mario 99 is that my next one is Mario 40. Because remember, one of the 99 games in that franchise was Mario 35.
And Mario 35 was like fantastic. It was like a really fun online multiplayer Mario game that Nintendo, like, it was part of that thing where Nintendo was like, oh, here's these cool games for Mario's 30th anniversary. Oh, now it's Mario's 31st anniversary, and so these games have to go away forever. It's like, why?
So I could see them doing that basically again for the 40th. Going like, oh, it's back. Mario 40, it's back for a limited time.
I hope it's not a limited time.
Well, I mean, I think all the 99 games, or most of them besides Tetris, are limited.
I think they're still running. Like, okay. I think the only one that shut down was Pac-Man.
Okay. That's it for me for Mario's 40th. Do you have any other predictions in that category?
No, that's it for me too. Like, that's really like all I had.
Besides the one you're saving?
No, the one I was saving was the new 3D, the big Mario game. It's going to be a Mario game. It's going to be some smaller Mario games, Mario-related titles. Like you said, like Dr. Mario, or maybe Super Mario Maker makes a comeback, or we get another compilation of older Mario titles.
Mario typing, Mario's missing.
At least like on the video game side of things, right? There's going to be like a lot of merchandise too, and there's going to be talk of the next Mario movie, which is like apparently Super Mario World with Yoshi.
I was going to save that for later, but not as one of my predictions, but I wanted to ask that as a question. And let's not just limit it to Mario. Do you think we're going to get non-game related stuff in this direct?
I don't think so, because I don't think that's what this direct is for.
Yeah, I think they have a lot to cover.
I think they'll do like a separate, I think
they're just going to do it straight
through the app
now, the Today app.
Straight through Yeah, I think when they have more information they want to share on the next Mario movie or the Zelda movie coming out, they'll hold dedicated directs for those. Just like they had a dedicated direct for the first Mario movie. I think, like, there's a place for that, and I just don't think it's here.
And they announced the casting for, like, Link and Zelda in the Today app instead of in a direct. So I thought for a second, I'm like, oh, what if they announced, like, who plays Ganondorf or something in the direct? And I'm like, well, why would they announce Link and Zelda, the leads, in just the app, and then save, like, Ganondorf for the direct? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So I'm like, well, if they do a casting announcement for Ganondorf, it'll probably be in the same app that Link and Zelda were announced in.
Right.
So I think the only chance we have of them showing something related to, like, the movies or the theme park would be if it was like a trailer, which I don't think there's one ready yet. Maybe if they had a direct that coincided with around the time the trailer for the new Mario movie was coming out, they would debut the trailer in the Nintendo Direct or something. But that's not now.
No, that's not now. And they don't have to talk about that. Like, really.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting non-game stuff in here. I think this is going to be focused on the game. They might have, like, a separate, like, Mario-specific direct, like, later. Where
they might announce that. They might announce that there's going to be a Mario direct. Yeah.
Where they talk about, like, all things Mario, but right for this direct, it's going to be game information.
Mm-hmm. All right. So moving on to my next category here, third-party heavy hitters.
Yes.
So again, I picked three. I went a little bit vague, but I'm going to go more specific when I read these out.
Okay. I also picked three, so, like, we're on even footing here.
Yeah.
For this category.
First off, I think Call of Duty is going to be announced.
I don't think so. If it was, it would have been announced by now. Call of Duty comes out in November on the other platforms. I don't see it releasing late on Switch 2. I think they're just going to wait for next year. They're just going to wait for next year's Call of Duty. I don't think Switch 2 is getting this year's Call of Duty, unfortunately.
I think we are. I think the delay is because they don't need to announce everything for that version. They can just announce, oh, it's also coming to this version, you know?
It's definitely not. Unfortunately.
I kind of disagree.
I think a Call of Duty producer already said Switch 2 isn't in the plans for platforms for the Call of Duty.
People say shit all the time.
Yeah.
Next up, I put this down vaguely, and I wrote Resident Evil. A lot of people are predicting 7 because of that leaker, you know, that we talked about.
Oh, Dust Golem.
But there's been a rumor now that this is after I picked this as my prediction. A rumor came out that all of the RE engine Resident Evils are coming in.
Yeah, Dust Golem posted that early this morning. Here's the thing. I also have Resident Evil.
I put this in my notes before, and the game I was specifically thinking of was Requiem.
Yeah, same. Okay, so I also picked Resident Evil Requiem for mine, and I think it's going to be all the RE engine, like Dust Golem said this morning. It's going to be all the RE engine Resident Evil games, including Requiem. Requiem's obviously the big one because it's the newest.
Do you think they're going to announce all of them at this show?
I think they might. I think
they've done that kind of thing before.
They might. It's interesting to me too because a few weeks ago, Dust Golem said that Capcom had already started the process to port Resident Evil Requiem to Switch 2 and PlayStation 4. So apparently it's coming to those platforms. So
apparently, I guess that means the Switch 2 version would be a non-ray trace.
Yeah.
Since PS4 can't do ray tracing.
Yeah, they'd probably cut the ray tracing. But again, it makes sense to me. I think Capcom has supported Nintendo in the past. Even with Resident Evil, we had the Xbox 360, PS3, Resident Evil games.
5 and 6, yeah.
5 and 6, and also the ports of 0 and Resident Evil 1 on Switch 1.
And 4.
And then we got the cloud versions of Resident Evil 7. Was it I think there was one
I don't
more.
think we got one of 8. I think we got one of 7, and we might have gotten one of the remakes as a cloud version, but I don't think we got 8 as a cloud version.
Yeah, we got 7 as a cloud version for sure.
Yeah, and that came in Japan 2 years before, I think. It did in the US, the cloud version, you know?
So, it just makes sense. Yeah, and when we got Resident Evil 2 cloud version, Resident Evil 2 remake cloud version on Nintendo Switch. So we got the Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil 7. So clearly there is a desire by Capcom to have these games on Nintendo platforms. So, it just makes sense that, they're gonna do that. Even when they announced Requiem at Summer Games Fest, they didn't say, Nintendo Switch 2. I'm kind of it's gonna end up on Switch 2.
Yeah.
I sound kind of laissez-faire, but, I love to see it, because Resident Evil is one of my favorite franchises. I'm gonna get Resident Evil Requiem anyway. It'd be cool to have it on my Switch.
All right, and then the last prediction I have for a third-party heavy hitter is Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
That's nice. I like that.
I think it would just be a tease. Like, it wouldn't be a this year thing.
I don't know if that's happening, simply because I don't know if, like, that team has dev kits yet, or if they've even, like, started exploring bringing the. They've said positive things. They've said they'd like to, but I just don't know if right now if that's a process that's.
I think if it's announced,
motion.
it'll probably be like in a highlight reel or something too. Like,
Yeah.
it'll just be kind of like the way Star Wars Outlaws was in the first Switch 2 Direct, just like in the highlight reel kind of thing. I think if they do it, it would be something like that. I was struggling to come up with a third pick, and I didn't want to put the one I really want to come as Metaphor, but I've come to the conclusion that I'm pretty sure that we're not going to get Metaphor until they make a modified version of Metaphor, which Atlas always does for their big RPGs. You know, there's Persona 5 and then there's Persona 5 Royal. Like, so if that version of Metaphor is called like Metaphor Royal, that's the version we'll get for Switch.
That's the version that's coming to Switch.
Yeah, I don't think that's coming yet.
That's why I also did predict Metaphor, also like predicting the same thing as boring all the time.
Yeah. Do you have any other third-party heavy hitter predictions?
Yeah. In addition to Resident Evil, I'd like to see Konami port Metal Gear Solid Delta to Switch 2. I think that's a candidate. Starfield from Bethesda is another candidate.
Heavily rumored, that one.
That's another heavily rumored. Those are certainly candidates.
Microsoft can keep that one.
Yeah, same. I agree with that.
Give us Lost Odyssey instead. Make Lost Odyssey remastered for everything, including.
But those are like mainly my third party. I think we're going to see Resident Evil at this. The other stuff, probably not so much. And then I have like predictions for Nintendo Switch Online. Not really predictions. Prediction. A sort of like dark horse candidate.
I have some for that too.
But I think like they could add Eternal Darkness to NSO GameCube. I think that'd be cool.
Did you put
especially for like October, especially for spooky season.
Did you pick any other ones for that, or just?
I just have Eternal Darkness. I put
down 3. I don't think they're all coming, but I wanted the opportunity to pick 3 that I think would be good choices.
Okay.
So I'll save my first one for last because I think it's the most interesting. But I think Twilight Princess makes a lot of sense because Wind Waker launched the GameCube NSO service.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I think Twilight Princess makes sense to put out there. I think Smash Brothers Melee makes a lot of sense. It was the biggest game on the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Mario Kart 8 of the GameCube. So I think that makes a lot of sense. My dark horse pick is not published by Nintendo. It's Beautiful Joe.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think it's time for a Beautiful Joe comeback.
You have to get Capcom on board with NSO. Are Capcom like even on board with NSO? Like, are there like any like real Capcom games on that service?
I'm pretty sure there are. I don't know if there are on the GameCube, but I'm pretty sure there are on like NES and SNES.
Because like the Mega Man games aren't there because Capcom has their own compilations for those.
Isn't Street Fighter on one of them? I think it might be the Genesis version.
You know what? I think Street Fighter 2 is on Genesis NSO.
Yeah.
You're right. That's about it.
Yeah. I think the reason for that is that they've done their own compilations. Like they've done these big Street Fighter compilations.
Oh, yeah.
And so they didn't want to detract from that. I think Beautiful Joe is something they're just not really touching. And
no, it's something that they're not touching, and it's like, okay, yeah, unless they want to do a Beautiful Joe compilation in the future, or like remasters of those games, that's a possibility. Okay, they do have the original Ghosts and Goblins up on NSO on the NES app.
Yeah, so there's some stuff, but I think it's limited mostly by the fact that they're making their own compilations and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Capcom did a ton of compilation releases.
Yes, they did.
It's not like they just did like 1 or 2. They did a bunch, you know? So I think that's the main reason why we didn't see a lot of NSO support for Capcom titles. But I think Beautiful Joe falls into that sweet spot where it's like, this is a franchise that's kind of beloved, but Capcom's not really doing anything with. So why not? And if it turns out to be successful or get a lot of hype, then that gives them an opportunity to do it again. And that's even better now because they're currently working with Kamiya on an Okami remake or like a new Okami game. Kamiya is now like a freelance worker. He's not at Platinum anymore, which means he can work on other franchises. They could make a deal to make a new Beautiful Joe with Kamiya.
They could, but he's currently busy with Okami.
Yeah. I just mean like this might be a good chance for them to investigate if anybody's interested in the franchise.
Yeah, exactly. To like investigate.
Yeah, and Capcom loves their tests. They're always
sure
we're
do.
releasing this game, it's a test, and it's like, what? Okay, so we have to buy this game in the hopes that it means something else later?
Yeah, it's so weird. I remember, like, the early days of the Switch, when it came out, like, Capcom, like, didn't announce support for it, and then they released Ultra Street Fighter 2, which was basically a Switch port of the Street Fighter 2 HD, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, like, HD
From the 360,
from the 360 and PlayStation 3. They just had like, a new character, which was like Evil
Well, they also
Ken.
added that Hadouken mode.
And they added a Hadouken mode, yeah, so they added a couple stuff on top of it and, like, released it. And then they said, oh, okay, sales of this determine if we make more games for the Switch. Why?
Speaking of that Hadouken mode, did you see the new trailer that came out for Dragon Ball Z Sparkling Zero for Switch 2?
I didn't see the new one, I don't think.
They added a Hadouken mode.
That's awesome.
But it's like, you can do Kamehamehas and Final Flashes and stuff by doing the gestures for the moves. And it's like, oh, who the fuck wants this? But yeah, so that is our Nintendo Switch Online predictions. And then the last category I have is the one more thing. And so I only picked one thing here because it's a one more thing.
I don't have a one more thing. I have like a pie in the sky. Like,
that's kind of what this is too, so.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, okay, the stuff that's not going to happen, but like if it did happen, would make it like a 10 out of 10 direct.
I think mine could happen, but it's hopeful. It's wishful thinking on my part, but
I
could
have it
happen.
so I think what you're going to say, I have it in mind realistically. I'm going to go over because I wrote some things for Switch 2 that I think are realistically going to be discussed or announced.
Okay, hit me
in
up.
the direct. So Splatoon Raiders, I think we'll get
I completely forgot about Splatoon
Yes,
Raiders.
I think we're going to get a new trailer discussing more about what the game's about.
And maybe a date.
Yeah, maybe a date. Yeah, maybe it's coming out early next year, like maybe March or something. And so we get that. I already talked about the new 3D Mario, and I think like they're going to announce the next Monolith Soft game. I think that's going to get announced. I think that's a real like possibility.
Yeah, that is my one more thing pick, is Monolith Soft's next. I think it's due. I think it's the right time to announce it. I don't think it's going to come out this year. I think it'll be sometime next year. It might even be a very early preview without even a date attached to it, like a coming later kind of thing. But I think it's the right time to announce that. So yeah, and I don't think it's Xenoblade. I think it's something else, because they've had another project they've been working on for ages.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. That's why I wrote next Monolith Soft game and not next Xenoblade game.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a new world. I think that's cool. Other things I had in mind, I want to get
your wishful thinking ones.
My wishful thinking. First off, I want to see a new Wario Land game. It's the last Wario Land was on the Wii, so it's kind of like we are overdue. I think
they should merge Wario Land and WarioWare.
Yeah,
because I think both of them are pretty niche, but if you put them together, it's an interesting package.
Yeah, it's an interesting package for sure. That would be interesting. I would like to see how they do that. And other things I would love to see, a new F-Zero. I harp on this constantly. I'm going to harp on this constantly until it happens. Yeah. I'm sorry. Nintendo, just do it.
I think that's definitely pie in the sky. I would love to see it, but I think if it is happening, I don't think we'd get it this direct. That to me seems like maybe a year 2 fall direct.
That's why I label this pie in the sky, because this is where I just decided to go wacky with it, and this is obviously not going to happen, but I'm going to say it anyway.
If you were making that prediction for fall next year, I'd say I could see this popping up in a fall direct. An F-Zero game really fits that fall direct dynamic. But this year, with the Switch 2 being launched this year, and this being the first big direct since the Switch 2 launched, it's probably it is pie in the sky still.
Yeah, probably too soon. Also, I would love to see a new Castlevania game from Konami. That was rumored alongside the Silent Hill 2 remake and a Metal Gear Solid revival, and both those things happened. And where the hell is Castlevania, Konami? Where is it?
Are there any details about that rumor? Are they anticipating a 2D or a 3D or?
Oh, this rumor was ages.
It's just vague, just Castlevania.
Yeah, and this rumor is 2 years old at the most now. 2-3 years old for this rumor. So this rumor was ages ago. And it said Konami is working on a Silent Hill 2 remake. They're working on Metal Gear, and they're working on Castlevania.
I got a proposal for you.
Yeah.
What if they did a remake of Symphony of the Night, but they did it kind of like HD 2D? Not in the perspective, but in the sense that they have like modern lighting effects and stuff like over the sprites, like the way they do with the HD 2D stuff.
I mean, cool, but like I don't, I wouldn't like really be super hyped for that. To be honest, I think Symphony of the Night looks fine as it is, and like if it's just gonna be like the same game, I played that game so many times, like I know it like the back of my hand, so it'd be kind of like, oh, okay, well, I mean, it's neat to have a modernized version, but
it's like, never been on a Nintendo system.
It's never, yeah, I do want it on the Switch. I would like them to find a way to get on Switch. So
NSO PlayStation.
Yeah. Yeah, NSO PlayStation, yeah. So we can at least get it with the other Castlevania games. But I would much prefer like a new game.
We laugh, but what if they announced NSO PlayStation?
That'd be insane. That would be like, okay, well, the world's ending. Dogs and cats living together.
Yeah, they're making babies. They're called cogs.
They're called cogs, yeah. But yeah, I just want a new Castlevania game. Every time they show something, and one of these shows that like vaguely looks like Castlevania, I get like way too excited. And
you were like that with Dust Bloods, weren't you?
Yeah, the Dust Bloods, yeah. I was like, oh, it's happening. Oh no, it's not happening.
Oh. It's just FromSoft.
It was like, you know, the episode of Simpsons Halloween with like the evil Krusty doll? He goes into the shop, and the guy is like, oh, the doll is cursed. That's bad. But it comes with free Frogurt. That's good. The Frogurt is also cursed. That's bad. Well, it was like that with the Dust Bloods announcement, because I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, it's Castlevania. That's good. And it's like, oh, it's FromSoft. It's not Castlevania. That's bad, but like also, okay, FromSoft. Yeah, Hidetaka Miyazaki. That's good. But it's a multiplayer only game. That's bad.
But before that, it was, is this fucking Bloodborne?
Yeah. Is this Bloodborne? I knew it couldn't be Bloodborne because like Sony owns that IP, so.
That was like a really fun direct to rewatch, like with reactions though, because you could see people going like, wait, Bloodborne? What the fuck? Bloodborne?
Yeah, Bloodborne, yeah.
It's really funny watching people react to that like that, yeah.
And then I have Mega Man, new Mega Man. Like, come on, Mega Man 11 sold really well. I don't know why Capcom's not making more of those games.
There is a new Mega Man. It's called, I think it's called Pragmata.
No, Capcom shut down that was a secret Mega Man game.
And you believe them?
The producer of the game said, no, it's not a secret Mega Man game.
And you believe them?
Then they say, well, they're happy. We're happy so many fans are interested in Pragmata, though. It's like, oh, okay.
And now, just because of that, they've changed it to a Mega Man. The sequel to Secret Mega Man game.
Secret Mega Man game. Yeah. No, it's about time for something. It's funny because, like,
Pragmata's another likely candidate for Switch 2, I think.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about Pragmata, to be honest.
I did when I was doing my third-party heavy hitters category, but I already had a Capcom game, so I decided
I'm, like, really excited for Capcom's games lineup next year because they got Resident Evil 9, and they got the new Onimusha. I think they're cooking.
Yeah. Do you have any other predictions?
And the last prediction, again, is this something that's never going to happen because it's Camelot Golden Sun, a new Golden Sun. We're going to get like a new Mario Tennis from Camelot before we ever get a new Golden Sun.
Are both of the Golden Suns on NSO now, or is it just the first one?
Both of them are.
Okay.
Yeah, both of them. I remember there's three. There's one for the DS.
Yeah, but DS. There isn't a DS
like
NSO, you know?
No, there isn't.
So that is it for our predictions. In addition to that, I came up with some questions that I wanted to go over. Just give us, we're just going to make predictions based on these questions that I wrote down here on the fly. So first question, will there be an overly long segment that nobody gives a shit about?
No.
You don't think so? You think it's going to be
because this isn't like a Microsoft show. This is a Nintendo Direct.
Sometimes that happens though. There was like, I think at the partner direct, there was one game they showed for like way too long that everybody was complaining about. Or they do it, Nintendo will do it sometimes not even with a game, but like, oh, we're going to spend like 20 minutes going over our new voice chat thing or something.
Yeah, but that was the hardware.
That was for the system launch. Yeah.
That was for the system reveal.
True, but Nintendo's done it for other things too, so that's the first thing. This is something that happens sometimes in Directs, happens a lot in other digital presentations.
I don't think that's going to happen in this presentation. I think we're fine here.
I think there is, and the only thing that makes me think that is that it's an hour long. I'm like, we're going to be so, and this is just my pessimistic side, we're going to be so psyched that it's just going to be so many games, and then like halfway through the Direct there's going to be like some 10-minute segment that nobody gives a shit about. And we're all going to be staring at the clock going, come on, move on.
Like, they're they're going to announce they cast Emo Phillips as Yoshi, and then they're going to have a 10-minute interview with him.
The next question, do you think there are going to be Japanese direct exclusives? This happens sometimes. This hasn't happened in the last 2 directs.
Here's the thing. Yes. At first I read that, I was like, are you like asking me to guess what those are going to be? Because like there's no way to guess what those are.
Yeah. Those are usually pretty obscure games, you know?
Yeah. I'm going to say like yes, like 100% yes. I think that is a strong likelihood of happening, especially with a direct 60 minutes long. There's probably going to be some stuff that's only for Japan, but you know, that is fine.
The first 2 questions I asked were yes, no. I think there's also going to be Japanese direct exclusives, just to answer that real quick. Those first 2 were yes, no questions. This one, I'm looking for a number. How many shadow drops? And that includes demos.
Includes demos. How many shadow drops?
Because they've done demo shadow drops, where like they announced a game we didn't know about and said, and the demo is available. They did that just at the partner direct.
3.
3?
Yeah, they're not going to go crazy with the shadow drops.
I'm thinking, because it's a long direct, and because it's covering both Switch and Switch 2, I'm thinking 5. And that, like I said, that includes demos. So that could be, you know, like one or 2 of those could just be demos.
Yes, we understand. It includes demos. So yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying 5. You're saying 3, I'm saying 5. Last question. This is the most important. Again, I'm looking for a number. How many farming games? Remember, the last direct, the partner direct, no farming games.
So it's a 60-minute direct. So if you think about if they go through it with no breaks, if they do like one game like every 60 seconds, that's 60 games. So that's going to be 60 farming games.
Yes. I think we talked about it after the partner direct, there wasn't a single farming game. I'm like, so is like the new farming game just going to be cozy games now? Like, and
I think so.
From farming to cozy, and like we had that fireplace, or not fireplace, the fire.
Yeah, the cozy fire pit.
Was it fire pit? Yeah.
Cozy campfire.
Yeah. Campfire game or whatever. So it's like, I don't know if we just didn't have any farming games in that direct, or if farming genre has morphed into the cozy genre.
We'll see like 5 farming cozy genre games.
I'm saying we see at least 3 games where we see like a farming tool hit the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for our predictions. And next week we'll be talking about the Nintendo Direct itself. And you'll see how wrong we are. We probably each got like 2 things right.
And the fun thing about this is I was not concerned at all about being right.
Yeah. We're going for fun, less for, try to be somewhat realistic, but.
Try to be somewhat realistic. Yeah, I mean, don't want to go crazy. I don't want to like start saying Sony is canceling the PlayStation and releasing all their games on Switch 2. Like, why go for like some level of like
Nintendo
realism?
Announces that they have a secret stereoscopic 3D projector already built into the Switch 2 that you didn't know about.
Right?
Remember that when the prediction for, I think it was for the Wii U, before the Wii U came out, and everybody thought it was going to be a stereoscopic projector or something?
Yeah, I saw that. It was like, no.
And they had like the whole Nintendo on, like the virtual reality that everybody thought was going to happen. Like,
but yeah, I want to like have fun with it, but like keep it within like the realm of possibility. F-Zero's not going to happen, but nothing's stopping Nintendo from making one and releasing it on the Switch 2, so it's still within the realm of possibility.
God, what if they partner with Sega and did like a kind of successor to GX?
That would be amazing. I would love that.
That would be cool. I'd just love to see, some F-Zero thing would be awesome. Castlevania would be awesome. Mega Man would be awesome. A lot of your picks I'd be psyched for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 10 out of 10. If any of those happen, 10 out of 10 direct automatically. Saying this right now.
You know what I'm most excited for though? I'm most excited for those games that there's no way we'd have any way of seeing them coming.
Oh yeah, like the surprise games. Yeah.
Like remember the first Octopath Traveler when that was revealed at the first Switch presentation?
The first Switch. Remember when like they announced Metroid Other M by Team Ninja? Like nobody was expecting that. Like I know Other M didn't end up being like everybody's favorite game, but like the announcement of that at the time, that was like
that
super
was peak,
high.
Yeah.
Yeah, unexpected completely.
Yeah, or like along the same lines of Metroid, the Metroid Dread announcement.
Yeah.
People were screaming when like it's Dread came on when it said Dread. People were like, "Oh my god!" Yeah, that's what I'm excited for. Those are the announcements.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the announcements that like I live for in these presentations. It's kind of like that's what I want to see the most.
Sometimes they're fully new. Sometimes they're just something that's so out of our minds that we're not like we just would have never thought was happening.
Right.
You know, like Metroid Dread's an example of that. Like, nobody thought you could have predicted that because that was like a known title, you know? So you could have predicted it, but nobody did. And then it just came out. It was like, oh my god, like nobody thought of this as a possibility, you know?
No, nobody thought they were going to be. Metroid Dread before that was like a canceled DS game.
It was just like a concept in like a log in another game, you know? Like there was a data log in another game.
Like we do know, like through leaks in the grapevine, that like there was a Metroid Dread in development for Nintendo DS and it got canceled a long time ago. Nobody thought like they would bring that back, or at least like in name, like they would resurrect Metroid Dread for Switch. Like nobody could have predicted that.
Yeah. So it could be like those kind of surprise announcements. It could be that, but they could also be, like I said, like an Octopath Traveler, where it's just an IP that we've never heard of before. So there's no way you can predict something that hasn't yet existed. Like the first Splatoon, you know, when the first Splatoon was announced.
Oh yeah,
like, oh my god,
nobody was
crazy.
saying that. Unless you got out there and said, "Oh, I'm predicting Nintendo's going to make a shooter with Mario Sunshine mechanics."
Yeah, featuring squid characters that swim in their own ink, and it's like no, that was nothing that would have ever been predicted. So those are the things that I'm like super psyched for, and I hope we have a good number of those. I hope we have stuff that's just going to like blow us away, and that we just are not expecting at all.
Yeah, exactly. I want Nintendo to blow us away with something that we can't predict. That's not like even a concept in our minds.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see the most.
Completely blow our minds, yeah. But that's it. So next week, we're going to be talking about this Nintendo Direct. We're going to be talking about what was actually shown and seen. And again, by the time you've listened to this podcast, you've probably already seen that Direct. But we will have not, as we're recording this. We obviously haven't yet. Just weird timing. If it was announced that Nintendo was putting up the Direct like tomorrow, like we probably would have delayed the podcast. It's just weird timing.
Going up Friday.
Like yeah. But until next week, thank you everybody for listening. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will on both of those platforms. He's at Fox the Hero. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.com. If you go to our website and open up the container story to any of our podcast episodes and scroll down to the bottom paragraph, you'll find all of the links to our relevant pages, our SoundCloud page, our RSS feed, all that stuff is there, all of our social accounts, all that stuff. You can also subscribe to the podcast to your favorite podcast platform choice like Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts, and the entire backlog of our podcast as well as additional content is available on our YouTube channel as well. Thank you everybody for listening. Good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.